Parker, Caroline, Owen, and Sophie Lofgren were tragically taken from us over Thanksgiving. Who was this killer who brutally stalked them and took their lives? According to the Centers for Disease Control, this killer, carbon monoxide, is the leading cause of poisoning deaths in America today. The CDC estimates that nearly 500 lives and more than 15,000 visits to hospital emergency rooms are caused by CO poisoning annually. Virtually all are preventable. According to the EPA website, you can't see it, smell it, or taste it, but it can kill you. Domestic carbon monoxide poisoning can be prevented by early detection with the use of household carbon monoxide detectors. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says that, quote, carbon monoxide detectors are as important to home safety as smoke detectors are, and recommends that each home have at least one carbon monoxide detector. Some in our community would argue that awareness is the best approach and that mandating CO detectors is too costly, that it is an unfair burden to be placed on home builders and realtors. I would ask them if they feel the same way about smoke detectors. It is estimated that 94% of American homes have smoke detectors, but only 13% CO detectors. What is the cost of a life, or for that matter, 500 lives? Let me tell you about the cost of 4 lives. Parker was an extremely talented investment banker, dedicated early morning runner, expert fly fisherman and skier, who loved and was devoted to his family and friends. Caroline was the youngest among her friends out of college to make BP, a devoted mother, avid 3.5 tennis player, and committed community volunteer. Owen, a budding intellectual with a smile as big as his face. Sophie, an accomplished violinist and dancer. He was my partner. They were my friends. My life and the lives of many will be ever changed by them and changed by their loss. And all of this was preventable. I urge you to support this bill so that it doesn't happen to anyone else. We have the means to prevent this. We simply must follow the 11 other states, including Michigan, which enacted a similar law this Friday, past Friday, and passed this bill. Thank you very much. I want to also thank the manufacturers who have donated carbon monoxide detectors to the Fire Department of Denver. And I urge you in a bipartisan way to get behind this effort. Thank you.
15 states.
My name is Andrew Romanoff. For the next 4 weeks, I'm the Speaker of the House. I'm told there are now 15 states who have adopted this legislation. I want to join my colleagues in extending my condolences to the family and friends of the Lofgrens. I wish we weren't here. I wish this bill weren't necessary. I wish this tragedy had been avoided. No law can bring a family back to life. This law won't. A law, in many ways, is only as good as the manner in which it is enforced. The truth is, families don't have to wait for a law to be passed now to do, as Representative Court suggested, to go out and buy these devices right now. But I think this law will do some good, and I encourage the legislature to pass it. I want to thank especially Representative Sober for his early leadership on this issue, and thank you all for joining us.
Do you have questions for any of us?
John, how is this different than the law the bill you introduced last year?
Thank you, Lynn. That question's been asked several times, and I was handicapped as I didn't have a copy of the last draft. You know, we moved to legal services offices, and I just got one this morning. And just a quick skim of it, I don't see anything drastically changing in it. What I like to change in it is the enforcement part of it. That seemed to be kind of a drawback. It seemed like we were trying to pick on one industry over another industry, and I like to find a fair way of enforcement. Some of the states that have passed this have passed it without an enforcement part of it, just by the fact that it is a law. Most people will comply. So we're open-minded, and again, I ask anybody that has a stake in this to meet with me, and we'll try to do all we can to make it work for everybody.
Hey, John, last year, Tim Hoover would propose. John, last year, the bill passed on second reading in the Senate, but didn't go anywhere after that. What happened last year? And I'm sorry, do you have Senate support this year? I guess I'm not seeing any senators up here.
My understanding was that it was killed in the Senate, and I don't have the vote count. I should have looked that up, and I apologize for not having the vote count. and whether it was a party line, something like this should not be a party line vote. This is a nonpartisan bill, and I would hope that it wasn't. I would hope that there was a legitimate reason for people to vote no against the bill last time.
Representative Soper, what did we know about the operability of the detector in the Aspen home, and how would your law affect that residence? The operability and the working proper working order of the device.
Well, sad to say, I was informed this morning that there was no detector found in that home, and without an enforcement, there's no way that you could go back and say it had to be done. I would just like to think that people would comply, and we want to have an enforcement policy that works for everybody. We don't want to be punitive to anybody that really tries to do what is right.
And do you know if Aspen building codes required a detector, and if so, how would your law change anything, because the laws may have been flaunted up there?
My understanding that there was a code that says you had to have a carbon monoxide detector installed, and this would not change that at all, because this does not impact. If you read the language of the bill that was presented last time, and we intend to keep it in this time, this will not preclude any city, municipality, or local government from installing a stricter regulation than what this is. So the municipalities, they can go far and beyond what this bill is.
So what's the penalty for non-compliance?
Right now, there is no penalty for non-compliance, and that's what we have to work through.
In your bill, sir.
We haven't put that's still to be worked on, and we're going to be working on it in the next couple of weeks to find out if enough stakeholders come to the table what they think is fair and reasonable, and that's what we want to put into the language of the bill.
Also, you had mentioned you didn't want to call anybody out, but what were the three groups that opposed this last session?
Well, that's public record, and it's because it's been on the radio and the news. It was the home builders, it was the realtors, and it was BOMA, the apartment owner people.
Are any of them signed on this year then?
My understanding is that they're not going to be in opposition to the bill as far as the realtors, and I've just rumored only that the home builders are coming on board. I think Speaker Romanoff could speak to that they're not going to want to oppose it this time. I have not talked to the apartment owner.
Do you have any idea the total cost of refitting every home in Colorado, and cost per home as well?
The cost of a home could be as low as $18. And on new construction, these builders can buy it at such volume, I think it would even be less than that. And as I alluded to earlier, you can buy the Cadillac model, and it could cost as much as $50 if that's what you choose to put in your home. But even the modest home can afford, I would think, $18 to put a detector in their home.
Hey, John, to be clear, is this grandfather in homes that don't have them? In other words, it's only for homes that sell or for new construction?
What the last bill did, and I propose to do the same in this bill, is any new construction would be required to have it, and when you sell a home, then you would be required to put it in. And that was the sticking point last time, is who knows when a home sold more than a realtor, and that's, we thought was a responsible party, and they thought it was a burden put upon them, and we need to work it through that it doesn't become a burden for any industry over the other. But we'd like to say anytime you sell a home, you would put it in. But the bottom line, folks, is let's do it on our own. Are there any other questions for any of the other people here? If not, I would thank everybody for coming out, and I'll be available to answer any questions anytime you would like.